could not decide what video I wanted to make next until I realized it's right in front of me, or I guess in this case behind me. So for this video, I'm going to tackle some thrift flips and alterations. And if you're new here, hello, my name is Melody. I make videos about customizing your wardrobe, creating costumes, and generally just being a crafty woman. You can also find me getting up to those same nefarious activities over on Instagram. All right. Let's get to it. So I got this dress as a hand-me-down from my sister-in-law, and previously I had actually altered it for her, removing the sleeves, which thankfully I kept because now that I got it from her, I actually want to add the sleeves back on. So first thing I'm going to do is open up where I made the new armhole. I basically just serged that raw edge and folded it under, so I'm gonna seam pick that and open it up so that we have two raw edges to attach here. But before I put the sleeves back on, I do also need to take it up a little bit at the shoulders. It just hangs a little bit low on my bust and on my waist, so I want to take this up a little bit and then add the sleeves back on. Also, these buttons are my own. I made these buttons out of leftover lace from my wedding dress remake a couple years ago. I think I am gonna leave these on though. I'm not gonna put back the original buttons.
I started by carefully picking open the folded over edges of the armholes, as well as the binding on the neckline at the shoulder seam. Turning the dress inside out, I pinned where I wanted the new shoulder seam to sit. After creating my new shoulder seam, I secured the neckline binding back in place. Then it was time to reattach the sleeve, which I did have to gather slightly at the top of the shoulder to account for the new smaller arm side. Next up is a minor alteration I've been putting off since I bought this dress almost 7 years ago. Yeah, it's ridiculous, I know. It probably isn't noticeable to most people, but it's always bothered me that this dress puckers out at the top of the princess seam at the armhole. So to take this in a bit, I started by opening up the binding along the armhole a couple inches in both directions. Then, wearing the dress inside out, I pinned where I wanted my new seam placement and used a curved ruler to mark the new seam more precisely. Replacing the binding was the trickiest part, as I had to fold in the fabric along a new curve and attempt to match it with the old one. It's a super subtle change, but I'm glad to finally have this done after putting it off for so long. Next on the chopping block is what I call a repeat offender, something I have already altered but need to alter again.
So despite the fact that I have already taken in this skirt, it is still a little bit too big, so I need to take in the waist a little bit more. So I'm going to detach the waistband from the body of the skirt and flip it inside out to take it in here across from the zipper. I completely just left everything on the zipper attached. I did not detach the zipper at all when I first altered it, and I will not be doing that this time because that's fiddly and annoying and I don't want to do that. So we're going to leave the zipper, take in the skirt on the opposite side, but also I feel like this is a little bit too much fabric for the look that I want, so I want to try taking out a little bit of fabric from each panel. I'm thinking that by bringing in all of these seams down the length of the skirt, maybe taking away an inch from each of those, an inch or two maybe, I'm not sure. I just want it to be a little bit less bulky here. So let's see if we can do that.
To make these changes, I started by opening up and removing the waistband, but leaving it attached along the zipper. I then brought in the front and back seams of the skirt, each about 2.5 inches, or enough to leave the waist opening of the skirt 1.5 times my waist measurement. I did not take fabric away from the side seams to avoid having to mess with that dang zipper. To make the waistband a bit smaller, I opened it up completely flat and made another stitch about a ½ inch further in from the first one. With the size of the waistband fixed, I gathered the body of the skirt along the top edge and secured it right sides together to the front of the waistband, making sure to sew in the fold of the waistband's seam allowance. Then I folded the inside of the waistband back to the inside of the skirt and secured it by stitching in the ditch on the right side of the skirt. Again, the end result is subtle, and I might be wearing the skirt backwards here, actually, but removing that little bit of extra fabric creates a much better fit. The final set of thrift flips were items that I've wanted to dye a different color, including this whimsical floaty dress that is entirely too close to my skin color, this set of cotton pajama pants that are somewhat see-through in their current white state, not to mention I don't trust myself not to spill coffee on them, and this dress that I dyed light brown last year and just didn't love the results. Another repeat offender. And of course my mic wasn't working in this clip, so I'll just narrate over it, I guess. Before dyeing my clothes, I deep cleaned the sink and set up dish towels around it to prevent staining the countertops. I also pre-soaked the clothes in water as per the instructions. Along with the wine-colored dye that I chose, the instructions also recommend adding a tablespoon of dish soap and a cup of table salt to the dye bath. Then it was time to add all my items and wait, stirring them occasionally. I also kept a kettle going on the stove to continually add hot water and keep the temperature up. I left my items in the dye bath for an hour, gave them a quick wash in the washing machine, then decided to tone down the color of the PJ pants and the long sleeve dress with a bit of brown. I only left them in for about 15 minutes before again washing them, then doing a final dye bath for everything in dye fixative. Unfortunately, the pajama pants and the sleeveless dress turned out a bit uneven with lighter spots in the middle, but I do love the richness of the color. I will probably try a second round of this same dye to see if I can even it out.
Static.
But the long sleeve dress turned out so lovely in this muted pinky shade, with the contrasting fabric now more defined. If you made it to the end of this video, leave a thread spool emoji down in the comments to let me know you're still here. Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out with me today. Make sure to subscribe if you would like to hang out again, and leave a like if you want more videos like this one. See you next time.